Duncan. I also just want to acknowledge the all of the racialized people that have been playing a huge role, especially the temporary foreign workers that come every season to work very hard to put food on our plates. So I did want to just extend the acknowledgement and appreciation for all racialized people and BIPOC people, who, as well as everybody who's put in an effort to put food on our plates. And I encourage you to really look locally and to support our local farmers because they have really been hit by the COVID. And so in this today's session, I wanted to focus on food sovereignty, but specifically on the pillars of knowledge building and skills and working with nature, uh, because I feel that I am really drawn from the stories of others who are really excited about growing food in their back garden, as well as my own personal journey with understanding where the source of our food comes from. So I can really only speak and share from my experience. And I hope through these stories of the people that will be participating today will be able to share their own experience to see how we can, gain a little bit of food sovereignty for ourselves and for our community, and also just equip ourselves with a little bit more skills building and knowledge about where the source of our food comes from, to kind of humanize the food systems because there are people behind the food that we eat. Um, and so today we are inviting people to explore what food practices we inspired to learn about this year, and how has our connection to food and where our food comes from, our neighbors, and our relationship to the earth has developed. So as I think that music is food for the soul, I'm really happy to invite my dear friend Beiruz Michancha, who is a very talented singer-songwriter, a multicultural composer, piano player, who will be sharing two songs, and he'll be joined by a friend of his who he'll introduce. Hi, Beiruz, welcome.
Hi, Fahima. Thanks for having me, and thank you, Duncan, as well, for you guys organizing this. And um, can you guys hear me well? All right. So I wanted to just share a couple of songs that have been really resonate with me. And the first song is actually in my language, my in Farsi is the language that I speak, and it's an immigrant song, and it talks to migratory birds in a context that is relevant to humans. It talks in a way that, uh, it talks about the struggles that are involved in the diaspora experiences all around the world. Also, and I asked my friend Laura to join me and sing, and yeah, so she'll be singing in a language that she doesn't speak, but like she's managed to pick this lyrics up. So, and here it is. ای پرستوهای خسته که غبار هر سفر به بالایتون نشسته، آیا هنوزم میگذری ز شهری که زمونه به رویم دراشو بسته؟ آهای کبوترهای غمگین که نیرنگ آسمون کرده بالاتونو سنگین، آیا هنوزم میگذری زبامی که زمونه سرنگون کرده به پای؟ من همیشه دلم میخواست چراغونی به جز عشقم نیومد به مهمونی، دل سر و پرده غمای زمون است، پرستوی تنم بیاشیون است. ای کوچه های دماوند که توی کودکی های من از شما خاطره ها دارم. آیا هنوزم میگستری ز دشتی که برایم در آن خاطره میکارم؟ ای پرستوهای خسته که غبار هر سفر به بالایتون نشسته، آیا هنوزم میگذری ز شهری که زمونه به رویم دراشو بسته؟ Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. That's the first song, and the second song is it's something that in a way is calling out for a cultural shift, and that's why I feel like it relates to what we are talking about as well today. Yeah, and the calling for the cultural shift in a way that in the way I see it is like thinking about our society and our everyday interactions, and thinking of them in a way that's replacing competition with cooperation, and like, you know, like ownership of things, replacing that with like just sharing access, or and I know, like that's what I think about when I sing this song even. All right, and it's called Dark Days. It's a bit dark. You need this? All right, here he goes. Learning to breathe again for the first time in so long now. Learning to speak again from my heart. Learning to see again through my pride. Learning to be a friend for the first time, for the first time in so long, for 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 so long. Feels like I'm losing time when I worry, 'cause yesterday won't change. Starting to free my mind from the shadow of doubt that keeps me in darkness. Testing the air outside my chamber into the danger, pushing my limits high to the red line and over. Why have I waited so long, for 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 so long. Well, it's hard to be happy in a world that's so cruel, where the weak just get weaker and the powerful fuel, where the children go hungry as the soldiers stand by. Lay down your weapons, take hold of your lives. And when will we learn that it's hate that breeds hate? Only love is the cure. Don't leave it too late. Get up and feel it, the truth that won't wait. If we choose to do nothing, then we take all the blame. Why have I waited so long, for 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 so long. Thank you very much. Passing you back to Fahima.
Thank you, Virus. That was wonderful. I can't stop smiling. Music is food for the soul, especially when you're to that playing it. So now I'm actually going to pass the mic to Duncan, who will lead us into our first breakout session.
Sure. Thank you, Beiruz. Man, so many of those lyrics are still sticking in my mind, of freeing the mind and nature. And yeah, just thank you so much. I'm really touched. We're going to meet other gorgeous strangers and friends on this call. And so we're going to do that for about 15 minutes in breakout groups. And we're going to invite the question of what food practices were you inspired to learn about this year? And what are you looking forward to in the new year as check-in questions? And I've put these questions in the chat, and momentarily we're going to be whisked away to meet other people. Thank you, Susan, for doing our tech today. Susan, are you there?
Oh, thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed our first breakout session and got to know the folks on the call a little bit better. I wanted to introduce our first story weaver, Sarah Jean Jones. She's an Afro-Caribbean European queer fiber artist living at Pheasant Ridge Farm, a homestead located on the rugged shores of the Minas Basin, dedicated to producing high-quality Icelandic wool for spinners, weavers, and knitters. I was drawn to SJ's story because like being an artist and then being a farmer, I was like, that's really cool. I'd like to hear a little bit more. So yeah, she's actually on my podcast, which I'll be talking about later on, but I'm really excited that she'll be able to share a story with us. Welcome, SJ.
Hi. Can you hear me?
So I guess we could go into the moment share, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
I just want to make sure you can hear me. You can? All right, perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. This is super awesome. Really exciting stuff.
if we lose you, um, if we lose you, you could also, like, worst case scenario, we could put off the video and then like put it back on, or we'll put the slide. So just let me know if you have any technical difficulties. So Duncan, if you could just be on standby with that. Thank you.
I connected myself to my cell phone, so hopefully that works better. With the kind of impending storm, the satellite just, yeah, bad internet. So I'm going to tell a story about an experience of mine that really, I guess, sort of rerouted me and reconnected me to nature and the earth. That story starts long ago when I was quite young. So I grew up in a family of scientists, geologists, physicists, and we spent a lot of my childhood going to beaches and going rock hounding and going bird watching. And part of that sort of culture in my family was to keep lists of everything that we saw or that we found or that we thought was interesting. So that was very ingrained in my upbringing. And also in my upbringing, I grew up in a ballet studio. I started doing ballet when I was 3 years old, and ended up going on to high levels and going to a school in Belleville, Ontario for a period of time. And as much as I love the art form and I love dance, I developed a terrible eating disorder, which I still battle and struggle with today. So during one of my relapses and slips into my negative and challenging behaviors, I decided one day as I was walking, I'm pretty sure I saw a dandelion, or what I thought was a dandelion, because we all think we know what dandelions look like, but we don't always know what they look like. There's a bunch of different other flowers that look like dandelions that aren't, like coltsfoot or Canada lettuce. So what I did is I started this little book, which there are pictures of, I think. There are pictures, yeah. This little book that you see here, I've now had it for a decade. And every year, usually in March or April, depending on what goes on that winter, the first thing I always write down is when I see the crocuses. Now, I know they're not a wildflower. I'm aware people plant those bulbs, but they're my indication that things are going to start popping up. And then after the crocus comes, then we always have the coltsfoot. So I had a wildflower identification book that I started this with. And, over time, I now have a bookshelf of wildflower identification books. Once you start sort of engaging in one of these things and your family and friends find out, you just get books. And not only identification, but which ones you could eat and which ones have medicinal properties. And so I've kept this little notebook, and there are 11 years worth of flower lists in it. And it was just a way for me to, get back to the earth and put my hands in the ground and stop and notice the things that are popping up outside my house, outside the university that I went to, just these kind of small, special moments. So yeah, that's my flower book, and that's my story.
And so I wanted to, because we spoke before, so I wanted to actually, was wondering if you could share the moment where you took that learning into something that you would be able to share with others. Thinking primarily for the thing that you would give your family.
Oh no. Nice prompt. The thing I would give my family. Oh my goodness.
From that book, from the book? Because they acknowledge, like, did your family acknowledge your little learnings? Like, how did
Oh, yes. Yeah. And they did. And but I'm not sure exactly what moment you're talking about. Anyway,
any moment, really, any moment where you shared the, where you
yeah.
were able to share the learnings that you got from the.
Right. Okay, I got it now. So I did share this with my family, and my father actually bought his own wildflower book and started to identify them. And yeah, there was just this kind of, he would go on a hike and send me a photo of something, and I would try to identify it for him, or he really loved identifying something before I could. And it was this sort of fun little game, and it still is. Every now and then he'll still shoot me a text from, I was, out in Parsboro and I saw this, and he likes to try to stump me. So um and my family, my mom and dad, have gifted me so many beautiful wildflower books, some which are more like they're coffee table photography. So yeah.
Are there any just out of curiosity, are there any wildflowers that you discovered this summer that really excited you?
Well, I didn't find one that I was looking for this summer. Sea lavender. It grows on some beaches. It's kind of like this hybrid of normal lavender and a succulent. That's my best description. And I think it's only made my list 3 years. So I didn't find any this year, and I'm somewhat bummed about it.
There's always next year, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you so much, SJ, for being our first story weaver of this session.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully we'll catch you in the breakouts or at the ends, but thanks again so much. And so now I'm going to actually move to our next story weaver, Andrea. Is Andrea there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can. So Andrea Morrison is a certified coach practitioner and health and wellness coordinator, an amateur ethnobotanist, and of course our second story weaver. Her goal is to spread the knowledge of earth connection and sustainability to help people become more resilient and self-sufficient, and to reduce poverty and access-based nutritional deficit. Welcome, Andrea. If you could be able just to share with us quickly, what is an ethnobotanist and how does that really relate to your journey of resiliency and knowledge and so forth?
Sure. So an ethnobotanist is someone who studies the relationship between humans and plants. And a gigantic part of that, as I'm sure we all probably know, is food and medicine. And that I've noticed that there's a big correlation. I mean, everyone has noticed that there's a big correlation between our connection with nature and our mental health, and the food that we eat and our mental health. So for overall well-being, it just seems practical that we would return to those ways of practicing and thinking. Mm-hmm.
And I guess we can jump into the moment sharing. So I just wanted to ask you, what was the moment that began your journey of learning and engaging with the region's plants and their practical uses? Where was it and who was there?
And sorry, could you repeat that last part?
Sure. What was the moment that began your journey of learning and engaging with the region's plants and their practical uses, which is ethnobotany? Where was it and who was there?
Okay, so it's been a lifelong journey for me. I grew up in a family that spent a lot of time outside, but in particular, when I was a little kid, as soon as I could walk, my grandmother on my mother's side, they immigrated from Guyana just after my mom was born. So she learned about the plants herself when she got here, as there's no real native Guyanese species in North America. And we would go for walks out to their back field. They had sheep. And we'd walk all the way back to the Salmon River. If anyone is familiar with Nova Scotia, they might know it's just outside Truro, there's a Salmon River. And it backed onto that river, and we would go and collect wild mint that just grew along the riverside. It grows all over Nova Scotia. There's multiple different varieties that you can find. So pretty much from the time I could walk, we started looking at plants, and that from there I was just really fascinated with all of them and wanted to know what they all were. And then as I grew up, I mean, I was really fortunate that my family tolerated and supported all of my experiments when I'd be trying to be making jellies and things like that. And of course, the library was a great resource, so I just kind of consumed all of the knowledge and built my own little library. And yeah, that would be, it's just been a lifelong thing for me. I recognize as I get older that I need more time in nature than most people do. It's kind of an unusual level. So I've always just been fascinated by what's growing around us and under us. And so,
And that exploration isn't really just for like rural areas, right? Like actually how I got introduced to what you were doing in regards to foraging is that like we did a little tour at the park and you showed me all of the like edible plants at the park. Can you also be able just to share the moment of the like when you first discovered that your exploration wasn't limited to just like the rural areas or the forest and so forth, where you actually started, you know, that journey of like urban foraging?
yeah, so I guess it's always kind of been an awareness piece, but I've only lived in urban areas for portions of my life. And I think it's within the past year or two that I've come back to this area for work. I was living quite far out in the country. And everyone knows what a dandelion, like your last guest was saying, we all think we know what a dandelion looks like, but they grow everywhere in the cracks and sidewalks. And I started to see that. And in the past couple of years, becoming more aware of everything. I mean, the number of fruit producing trees that are ornamental in the city. I mean, you could go and pick pounds and pounds of cherries in the fall on just about any urban street and nobody even looks up to notice, and the apples everywhere. So I just became more aware of it, spending more time kind of micro touring around the city and just being naturally aware of the plants. So it's been within the past year or two, I think I would say specifically, I've really honed in on what's available and also what's going to waste. I can't say that it's waste because it's all fertilizer eventually, but but what's not being used, I think, is really fascinating to me. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, there's no really question. It's really just a moment of sharing. But yes, thank you so much for that gift. So that right now is our two story weavers, and so now I'll pass on the mic to Duncan, who will be able to lead us to our second breakout session.
Thanks, Fahima. I wish we could really like pass something. We need maybe in the future virtual reality. So yeah, next we're going to go into small groups, and typically after our guest share in other formats, we're invited to analyze or make meaning of what they said. But instead today we're going to try weaving together our own stories with theirs, and maybe they want to share some more things that have come up for them. So as we listen to the guests, what moments of your life bubbled up for you? We're inviting you to try to share a moment, which is smallest part of a story, with your group mates. So the questions are, take us to a moment where your curiosity has led you to explore more with food, and anything goes, any moment, whether that's growing or foraging or gathering, sharing, connecting with the sacredness of earth, something in nature, experimenting with something new. What were you connected to in this moment? What is resonating for you about this moment now, and what did you learn about it? So we're going to put these questions in the chat here for you. Whoops, someone is messaging me. And each person will have 5 minutes to share in their small groups. And if they stop sharing, you're invited to ask them questions that you don't know the answer to. So we'll send you away, and we're going to send you chat messages every 5 minutes to let you know when to switch people. Enjoy. Next activity is to reflect a little bit about what has come up for you. So the questions we have, we're going to answer these in the chat, and we're going to do it a little bit differently today, in that we're going to type our questions in the chat, but not hit enter until we say so. So that we aren't trying to scroll through all kinds of messages as they come through. And we'll actually take some time to review them all after. So the questions are in the chat. So what sparked your imagination? What moved you? What sparked your curiosity? And we invite you to type your responses in the chat, but don't hit enter just yet. And we'll all hit enter together in like 3 minutes or so. We'll take another minute. I'm still reading through here. So many more reflections. If anything else comes up, please share.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to thank all of the guests and everybody for joining us. I really enjoyed the discussion and the breakouts and just overall. If you're curious about the work of Beiruz and Andrea, um, you can follow them on Facebook. You don't actually need, just here's a tip, you don't actually need Facebook to see a page. So if you ever wanted updates from somebody and they have a Facebook page, then you can still be able to get that information. So, so this is Andrea's, and she will also be doing a more like workshops, outdoor workshops, hopefully. And this is Beiruz's Facebook. And I will be launching a food podcast soon to connect people to the source of the food and the people behind it. It's called Food Chats with Themes. Este is on one of the episodes. So I hope you are able to follow and enjoy. And I'd just like to thank everybody for just joining in on the call today. And now I actually wanted to pass it to Susan. Since this is our last narrative project session, I felt that I wanted to give her the stage to kind of reflect and just talk about the project and share any words. So.
Okay. Well, I actually didn't have anything prepared, Fahima, but yeah, we're just very happy to have hosted so many wonderful sessions with guests and storytellers and folks over the spring and now the fall. This is our last session. All of the sessions have been posted on our website. This one will be up soon, so you can go back and review and see the ones that you've missed. And we're starting to think about the new year, and we'd love to hear from you. So we'll be sending out a little survey very soon to get your thoughts about what you have participated in and what you'd like to see in the new year. We'd love to hear from you. So I think that's about it from me, Fahima.
Duncan, did you want to say any closing words? I wanted to give you an opportunity as well, since you have been co-hosting both sessions.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm just really grateful for everyone here to explore stories and try it out. Yeah, I'll be working with Susan in the new year on how we thrive and whatever comes next for this project. So just stay tuned, I guess. If you want to follow what I'm doing with the oven or other things, you can go to my website, duncanibata.com as well. Thanks, everyone. Maybe we'll just invite you to share. We actually have a lot more time than we did than we expected, but maybe if you want to share a word or something that comes to mind in the chat as we close, and we'll hopefully see you in the new year.